can bring some value. Let's bring in someone here. Here she comes. Ho ho!
Hi. How are you? Good. How are you?
Good. Where are you based?
DC, DMV area, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
To be
Cool.
specific, yeah.
So
And you're in Toronto, correct?
I'm in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's beautiful there.
It's probably kind of similar weather. But people are pretty friendly. People are pretty friendly because everybody comes from somewhere else, and we're all used to growing up together. So it's fun to travel the world, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
I mean, I saw it during the winter time. It wasn't the winter, it was March, and we were hit by a huge snowstorm. I was supposed to DJ actually there, and it pretty much got canceled because of the snowstorm. But I would love to go see it in the summer.
Well, once it opens up, hopefully you can before the fall and winter come again. But what do you got? How can I help?
So, just some basic questions in regards to, I'm having a little bit of trouble. So I'm on the third way through with my third time going through Built to Serve.
Okay.
And I read your one word as well. Well, I listened to it on Amazon Audible, which should probably give me props because I've sent it to so many people. But I am still having a little bit of trouble with finding my one word. And I've been meditating on it and just, coming up with my own questions to ask myself and, digging really deep. And that's probably the one thing that I would say was the first and primary issue I'm having. Okay. And then secondly, just a few questions in regards to, business related entrepreneur questions. So.
Okay. So your one word, let's dive into it. Who was your favorite teacher growing up?
Professor Sarah Dulce, nutrition.
Professor Sarah Dulce?
Mm-hmm. And she was my nutrition teacher when I was doing biology.
Okay.
And I'll never forget her. It's been, 10 years now? Over 10 years. I actually just got in touch with her recently.
Okay. And what did you like about her?
Caring, compassionate, very, very intelligent. She dug deep. She cared for her students. She cared for the people, Honesty was being launched in Bethesda during that time, I remember. And I was part of the nutrition club with, she made me so passionate about nutrition that I joined the nutrition club. And I was actually, because of her, on the dean's list that semester. It was my first time ever. And we were passing out little samples of Honesty on campus. And that was when it was first launching. So
did you have one-on-one time with her?
I did. I went to her barbecue because the nutrition club, we would always, have. And sorry. And so I would have and then I emailed her recently based on my product. And I don't know where my earpiece went, but it's okay. I see it. Okay. Anyway. So I reached out to her recently, but I hadn't gotten in touch with her for about 10 years since. So. What
made you want to reach out to her recently?
In regards, so she was the first person who kind of opened my eyes to, I was doing pre-farm biology and then doing pre-pharmacy. She opened my eyes to a lot of things in regards to a lot of, unfortunately, lies and, it's very complicated if I want to get in depth with it, but she, regulations that we put on things versus the European Union and the FDA here where, she digged deep and she digged for the truth and she wasn't hesitant to let anybody know the truth.
Okay. What I like about that is as you first started talking about her, you said care 3 times. She was caring. She's care. She has a lot of care. Yeah. So that's already
compassion and care. Yeah.
Compassion. You said once. Passion. You said once. Truth. You said once.
Let me get my name. Yeah.
Dig deep. Truth, you said once.
Yeah.
Truth. You said once.
So what I had
Okay.
on your what you're on your actual list with all my
Wow, look at
notes.
that. Color coded too. I love it. That's awesome.
I wrote, she was smart, accomplished, genuine, caring, motivated, loving, humble, honest. Um, she had knowledge and was truthful and genuine, and of all things, nutrition and health related, regardless of whether it went with the norm, FDA regulations, etc.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'd written down.
And how about the next question? What'd you write down?
So for what was my favorite movie, to be
Hmm.
honest, I just watch documentaries right now. So I love seeking knowledge. But The Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid. Wow. I used to know all the songs by heart to Little Mermaid. I love Sebastian. Uh,
Man, I knew every song by heart, and I can't even count how many times I've seen that. And I can still watch it.
wow.
I can still watch it.
Les poissons, les poissons.
That
How
was
I love les
the
poissons.
chef. He was
Yeah.
incredible.
Okay. Little Mermaid. I love it. Okay, so why? Why Little Mermaid?
So what I wrote down with her was she's caring and loving,
Oh,
beautiful,
there's that word again. Okay.
beautiful, genuine, strong, humble, smart, curious, and knowledgeable. She was very curious to know and be like seek knowledge on humans. So, and I find that those were the parts of the movie that were most fascinating to me. Like when she got the fork and she called it a dingle hopper or something. I don't know if you remember. It was a
Yeah, yeah,
comb.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was a
yeah, yeah.
comb. She was brushing her hair with it.
Right, right. When she was a human.
And yeah. No, no, no. It was actually before she even met Prince Eric.
Oh,
She,
her
yes,
collection of stuff.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. She was very curious about the human world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you do know.
Flashbacks. Yeah, we used to sing all the songs around a campfire at my parents' cottage all the time. Me and my cousin. I love that movie. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I it's like the one I can't get out of my head. And then aside from that, documentaries, and that's for knowledge and truth. I love learning. Regardless of what it's about, I love learning about it. So even if it's like a serial that's like, or a show that's like, real life related, then I'm all about it.
I like it. I'm just thinking how to group these.
I know it's hard, right?
It's not. No, I mean sometimes. It's hard sometimes for yourself. It's hard for yourself sometimes to
True.
see. It's easier for sometimes an outsider to come in. But if I'm you, I'm honestly looking at. Did you look at the credo part of the
I
book?
did.
Yeah.
Yes. I
If
filled
I'm
everything
you,
out.
you filled everything out. If I'm you,
I
I
did.
honestly put care at the top. It came up 3 times when you're talking about your nutrition teacher. It's the first thing out of your mouth when you said Little Mermaid. But
So,
then what care means can be broken down. Like under care is truth,
right.
is strength, is passion. It's not just you're not just going to be, oh, I'll just love and hug you and I'll just support you when I don't have any dreams or ambitions of my own. Right? It's like,
Right. So I actually spoke with my doctor right before, my physician before, and he's a holistic Eastern medicine. He combines the two. But I listened to a lot of Ram Dass and Alan Watts and things like that. But the one that sticks out to me the most is Ram Dass, and since 2014. And I actually uh, I funded at the time a trip to Hawaii for one of my close friends to go and visit him because I thought she needed it, like, to go. It was like a retreat kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
And to this day, like that was like when my enlightening moment, and then the second enlightening, I think my spiritual enlightening, and then my second enlightening moment, I think, was career-wise when I read your book, where I
Okay.
just felt like I could not stop crying. And I was
Okay.
sitting in my closet in the middle of like a ton of clothes, and I was just bawling. And I think I messaged you a billion times about that. Going crazy. I was like angry at you. I was like, because I was having a moment, I was like enlightened. I was like, oh my God, like, how did he get these out of me? Like, but I just can't pinpoint the exact one. But with Ram Dass, like, I remember it being compassion. Like, it wasn't about sympathy. It wasn't about empathy. It was just compassion. It's not putting yourself in someone's shoes. It's not being sympathetic or pity. It's just being able to, you know, be there for that, be there in the moment.
Yeah, I would, in listening to you and your story, I would put that under care. That's the, like, compassion is definitely, if you look at what most people would think of care, they would think of compassion, they would think of hugs, they would think of support, they would think of best friend being the care. And you definitely have that side to you. But there's also this strong hero, Wonder Woman kind of, I'm gonna make my mark in the world, the ambition, which combines with truth. Like, truth is care.
Right.
For you, truth is care. For you to learn the truth is self-care, right? To learn the truth about, because when you figure out your one word, it applies to yourself as well as what you give to the world and the people around you. So truth is self-care. Like, I want to know about nutrition, right? You want to know about nutrition for yourself. You want to know about spiritual practices for yourself. But that also becomes care. Like, you're not going to be the person who if you see your friend struggling and you know something's going to help them, you're going to tell them the truth.
Exactly. And I always have a problem with that. That always slaps me in the face. Because sometimes people don't want to hear it. You know, they're not ready to.
That's it. They're just not ready to yet. So that's where you have to. A lot of
it's acceptance and self-awareness. And I don't think.
You need to walk. That's where you need a little more compassion.
Yeah.
Some people are ready for it and you can hit them hard with the truth. Yeah. And some people aren't and they need more compassion. But you have both sides.
Yeah, my mom always tells me, she's like, you have no filter. Like, you need to sometimes be a little, you know, because sometimes I'm too truthful, and it can end up hurting the person. So I can see where those need to be balanced out. My doctor said I was very tenacious, like, I guess curious, or just his word for me was, and I actually screenshotted them so I don't forget.
Okay.
He said exactly. There to go. He said tenacious and curious, and he said something along the lines of. Oh, and I have a bunch of questions over there. There we go. So he said, yeah, he said tenacious, and the other one, I guess I didn't screenshot the other one. The other one was along the same thing, just very, driven. He said something along, it had to do with driven. Like, he was like, nothing can stop you if you're trying to, you know.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm curious about something, even if he's talking to me, like, he'll stop me because he'll know my mind is, like, you know, already.
Yep. So I'm taking notes. Mine are a lot less color coded as we go along here, and hard to read. Like, what did I just write down?
Another thing with me is I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 6. So
yeah,
and that hence my podcast name, and see all these Persian people. And
okay, so here's what I would do. Here's what honestly what I'm feeling from vibing from the conversation. I have care at the top, but care breaks down into 3 different things, 3 buckets. The first bucket, yeah, if you want to, so care is at the top, like #care. What does that mean? And this is your chance to say, this is what it means to me versus what other people might think. Right. The first bucket is the most obvious one, which is compassion. You're a very, you know, compassionate person. You want to see people win. And that's the most obvious one. Like, if you look up a definition in the dictionary about care, you're going to see a bunch of things related to compassion.
Right.
The second one, though, and this is why it's great to have the credo, because it gives a lot more definition. The second one is, I would label truth. But truth could be, under the bucket of truth is curiosity, is knowledge is wisdom seeking. But that's all like around truth. It's around getting the information. You're not just gonna do something because somebody tells you to do it. You have to understand it. It's got to feel right. And you're not just going to accept what's kind of status quo, right? But that's care. Like, most people won't see that as care, but for you, that's care. That's self-care as well as caring for other people. If you see somebody going down the wrong road and you know that they're against truth, like, you should be doing this instead. Yeah. That's your care. And it can be seen as you probably lean so heavy on the truth that you don't have enough compassion sometimes for the people and what they're doing, but compassion is still a big part of you. So that's the line that you have to keep balancing when
Right.
you're talking to people is how much compassion do they need, and how much truth do they need. Because it's all care. You're not telling somebody they need to go do this. When somebody says you have no filter, it's still care. You're telling them because you love them. You're not telling them this because you want them to go home and cry.
Right.
It's out of love. They may not
Right.
feel it out of love. They
Right.
might
It
get
just comes
offended.
out. Yeah. It just comes out harsh to them.
But it's love. Like it's just tough love.
Right.
But it's the truth that nobody else might be willing to tell them. You need to walk the line of maybe a little more compassion for where they're at right now.
Yeah.
That they may not be able to hear the truth quite yet.
Right.
And then so you've got compassion is one stream, truth is one stream, and then the third stream would be the strength. And under strength is tenacity, ambitious, driven, Wonder Woman, all of those. I want to build a great life. I want to do something meaningful. I'm not just going to be second fiddle to somebody, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to make my mark. I want to have an impact. Like you can sense that in you. So that's part of care. That's part of care again for yourself. Like that you're going to be driven. You're going to chase things down. You've got dreams and you want to accomplish them. And also care for others in that you'll likely push people beyond their comfort zone to do things that they never thought were possible as well. Which is you cheering them on and pushing them to go be driven and ambitious as well.
Yeah, I definitely think you nailed every single one of those. The only part that is a little like, I guess sometimes, and that was the part where you were like, I think it was under the hate. I really don't hate anyone. There's not one person on this planet. Like if the person who's done me the most harm, let's say that way, okay? Like for instance, my older brother, right? He's really, really hurt me a lot. But I still, if he comes to me and he says, hey, Shasta, I need your help, with open arms, and if I have the capability, of course, obviously I come first, but if I have the capability, without a doubt, I would do anything for them. And so there's the list of hate. It's not things that I couldn't write people's names down because there isn't any, but I could write characteristics that I try to avoid.
Yeah, same thing. So if you think about your brother who's done harm, that side of your brother, not your brother as a whole human, because humans are good.
Yeah, everybody, and everybody's struggling with their own demons, even I am, so it's not like I can hold anything,
But those characteristics are going to be against these things. It's going to be against people who are not compassionate for others, people who don't tell the truth and hide, and people who have a drive inside them, but they're not chasing it down, or they discourage other people from chasing it down.
And that's what I'm concerned with. Like my last job back in November, I quit because of the anxiety that the dishonesty and that was given me. So I couldn't deal with it. Like I couldn't. And I came to my dad and I told him, I said, like, I want to go back to school. I want to and I started doing working on my own, going to web development classes and learning, web development, but only to kind of launch my product that I'm trying to like get, everything together for. And I just couldn't do it. But I had a heart-to-heart talk with him, and he was like, well, just go and finish school. And I figured that it would benefit me because I could just build my own website, and I already had a little bit of background in it. So, it was something that I felt it would be useful, but at the same time, I couldn't be in that environment. And I don't think my personality is the type that would be able to. And that's another question I was going to ask you is, so the relation between entrepreneurship and leadership. Do you have to be a strong leader in order to be a good entrepreneur? Or, I know you have to be a leader to yourself, but
that's where it starts for sure. And I think if you want to be an entrepreneur and build something beyond yourself, then you need to be a leader, right? Because you're managing people. If it's just going to be you solo forever, then all you have to worry about is leading yourself.
Right.
I mean, to some extent, you have to lead your customers to an answer and help them. But if you want to build a business beyond just a solo entrepreneur shop, if that's your ambition, and looking at what you want to do, you've got ambition, right? It's just part of what you want to do. And so learning to be a good leader is going to be important. I think you've got it though. Like, I think you just have to tap into care.
And the compassion part.
Well, both, like the compassion, all of it, like the compassion for sure. If any of the areas, like if you go and give somebody a harsh truth and then they go home and cry and they didn't get it, you're going to feel bad that you were too hard on them. Even though it was the truth, even though it's ultimately what they need, you're still going to feel bad because they didn't receive it and it didn't actually help them. So you just need to practice more of the compassion side because it's still in you.
And
some people,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Some people need to be treated with baby gloves.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Like I want to take giant steps, giant leaps forward with people, but not everybody's capable of making those giant leaps. What I care more about is, are we making progress? Are we moving forward even a little bit? Even just getting them to admit this one little tiny thing, even though you can see 18 steps ahead of where they need to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Just taking the one step is a win, right?
Right.
The danger is putting yourself in their shoes. You're saying, well, if I was in their shoes, I would go off and do this. But they're not as strong as you. They don't have as much self-awareness as you. They haven't done all the work that you've done. They haven't read the books and done the spiritual retreats and all that. So you have this unfair advantage compared to them. So it's meeting them where they're at, which is, I think you would actually be great at it if you just leaned in it a little bit more. The truth and the being honest is default easy for you to get to.
Yeah.
The ambition and the strength is default now easy for you to get to. The compassion needs a little bit more work, but it's in you. It's not like it's not there. It's definitely there. It's just trying to put yourself in their shoes a little bit more. And I think you would be a great leader. I think you develop that piece, you'd be a great leader.
I appreciate it. And my story is just to kind of give you my story is like my younger brother passed away from cancer, from leukemia, and in 2006, and I saw him go through 4 years of he died at 16, and
That's
then
nuts.
So my older brother, meanwhile, is calling me cancer or a tumor, right? And it's okay, and it's I'm not saying it for pity or anything like that, sympathy, but what ended up happening is in 2017, I was diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma. And you would think a type 3 skin type or whatever wouldn't, but it did. So I had 6 stitches taken out right here. And every 15 days I had to undergo treatment. And some of the people who were probably watching had witnessed it all happen. But so I got fed up with the industry. I was during school when I was doing, my undergrad and everything. I left it all because I got so angry with the whole lack of truth in the research articles I was reading, where doctors were coming out saying oh, we're getting paid X amount of dollars at that time to prescribe this medication and things like that. Then I'm looking at the beauty industry or skincare. I'm selling $1,400 serums, anywhere from $500 to $1,400 serums that I know I'm looking at the back, the ingredients, and it's all dimethicone. It's a silicone-based product that you can find at CVS for $5, right? It's number 4 on the list of ingredients. So that means it's one of the highest percentages. And I just got fed up. Everything was reacting with my skin too. So I made something for me, a detox and a cleanser. But I didn't have it complete at the time, obviously. So 3 years later, tons of research, had my holistic doctor involved in all the ingredients and stuff like that, and now it's just in as far as paperwork, patent, things like that going on. But it was really just something that was made for me because I was exhausted from the lies and there shouldn't be more than 20 different options for a cleanser, right? There's no difference between men and women, just the collagen structure is a little bit different. There's no difference between, there should be something that should balance. If it's balancing the skin, then you shouldn't have to worry about oily or not oily, sensitive or not sensitive, all that stuff. I mean, these are all just, to me, they were all just gimmicks for money. And so I looked for something, all the ingredients, the ones that I knew, and I dug deep. My doctor's you dug deep. And I found the ones that I thought were, the ones necessary, and everybody who's tried it so far loves it.
Yeah, there's another one, the dig deep, you said a couple times too. It's still part of truth.
Yeah.
To get to the truth.
Yeah.
You're going to be relentless. Like if you're on to something, you're the kind of person who's going to see it through.
Exactly. I can see a lot through, like, it's like people are, like, I can look at them and they feel so guilty because they know that just through my eyes I can tell that they're like, you know, they're gonna lie to me in about like 2 seconds. I can foresee it, like I can see it before it even happens to me.
So that's what I think it is.
How do I use that?
Well,
is it worth it? I don't know.
You lead with it. So like everything's about care. So you start with care, and under that you got truth, compassion, and strength. And then first off, if you're ever not happy, it's because it's one of those three things that you're not happy at the job because they weren't being honest. You're never going to be happy in a. I mean, nobody's happy in an environment where it's dishonesty, but especially you, right? Because you value truth so much.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So whatever you work on, whether it's your own business or another career opportunity, it's got to.
I don't think I could do. I know my personality. I have to, and because of that one factor, it's my motivation and the fact that I know, like, I know. I'm not trying again. Like, I asked you that question about confidence and ego, and you nailed it. Like, you nailed it. The difference between the two. But I know I have what it takes. I know I have what it takes to create something successful. Now, as far as the funds and all those little extra details, and that was another question: is where do you balance? So you were saying, I know in your book you were saying, don't invest money unless it's there, unless you're making money, right? But in certain situations you kind of feel like you have to, right? Like, for instance, for the ingredients, or for like searching, like just trying to find packaging that's eco-friendly, all that stuff.
More important than the packaging is getting something that works.
Right.
Exactly. It's a history. Like, go look at every cosmetics company and look at how they started, and it's usually the entrepreneur in their kitchen cooking up a whole bunch of stuff, putting it in jars, like just pure startup, right? That's how most places get going. And then you need to find the most important thing is that the product works, that what you do, what you're creating helps people with a certain issue, right? That it works. And so then it's finding those people and then getting them to use it. And then the beauty of cosmetics is, you need to keep reordering, right? It's an ongoing thing. It's not just you apply it once and then you're done. It's an ongoing, whether it's every day, every week, whatever the treatment is. So if it's working,
for me right now, it's just a detox and cleanse, and it can be used as a body wash, a face wash. I mean, it should do it all, realistically.
Okay, but great. So a cleanser, how many times do you have to apply a cleanser?
Once or twice, depending.
But once or twice of what? How often?
A day.
Great. Like, so you're going to run out, right?
Right.
I mean, Brendan Burchard gave me his HPX, his supplements, right? This lasts for 30 days. And then you reorder, right? So same thing. The packaging isn't as important yet as does the product work? If you're giving it to people and they're getting results, they're going to want to reorder from you, even if it's in a little jar that you got, right? And that starts creating the funds and awareness to then create packaging and everything else.
So with that aside, like, and in your book you kind of covered it a little bit, but you were like, entrepreneurs can, or you can go into different categories. So there's hobbies, and then there's things that that you want to make how do you differentiate which ones to, because like, I love music, I have a passion for music, so I have a podcast, right? It streams worldwide, internationally, so how do you, and I love producing music, so how do you differentiate what to invest your time in for, like, a career, for to make money and all that, or
and at the start of this you said you were DJing in Toronto, or were supposed to DJ.
Well, I was supposed to.
So the difference between a hobby and a career is, can you bring value to other people? if it only fills the soul, but it doesn't help other people, then it's just it's a hobby. It's something you do for fun. It's something that you continue to do just because it nourishes you. If you can figure out a way to turn it into something that then can actually help other people, like you're getting paid to go do gigs and it's fun and it's still enjoyable. This is a matter of the heart. Like I would do both, but find a way to mix them together, not separately.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But it's difficult because you feel like you're going slower, right? Because you're trying to take on more.
What you're doing is making it unique. Like what other skincare company is mixed with music?
That's true. And it's the universal language of love, right? It's a universal language.
Yeah.
Everybody feels it, like, no matter what the language.
If you don't do it, you're always going to regret it and wonder, what if I just gave a little bit more to this? So this is where you need to have more compassion for yourself. Self-compassion. And there's no right answer for how much, what balance looks like, how much to spend on this versus this. It's what are you feeling? Because if you're feeling it, you're going to, especially someone like you, when you're driven and you're feeling it, you're going to accomplish something amazing.
Thank you.
If you're not feeling it and you're just doing the work, you'll still push it across the finish line just because you will, because you said you were going to finish it, and so you will. But it's not going to be as great as if you were actually in love with the thing.
You like nailed it. That's exactly how I am with my podcast or my song selections on my podcast. Like each one is telling a story, but sometimes I really don't have the energy to tell a story, right? With the music, or the songs aren't just like touching me, So there's ones where I'll have like 600,000 plays, and then there's ones where I'll have like 200,000 plays, and that's like a big, and that's where I can tell, the areas where I was like, yeah, that's the one I wasn't like feeling myself because I was kind of rushing, or there was something going on in my life, that didn't make me want to, try to, I guess, dig deep again and find songs. But I noticed that in my podcast too, in my music selection. So
that's going to be in everything. But listen, music is art. Music was created with emotion. Like you could tell it in the artist's voice and even in how they play the music. If it was just something that they kind of threw away, or like this is a deep, meaningful song to them. And music is healing. Like if you're going through something,
exactly.
Maybe not all of maybe your next podcast isn't the upbeat, and I don't know your stuff, but maybe it's not like super upbeat positive. Maybe this one is.
Yeah, it's a mix.
But use the music as healing. So if you're going through something, maybe the playlist takes a little bit of a different turn because you're struggling with this, and these are the tracks that are helping you heal right now. It's a little bit different than the usual, but it's still emotion driven.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part is I get people from like, I don't have maybe as large of a fan base as the norms, like the regular mainstream, podcasts, like where, they'll play like the top hits and things like that. But I get messages from all over the world. Like sometimes I have this one guy from Brazil who was like, I never thought a group of like guys would be sitting there on a Saturday night listening to like, it's an old school, like she's like a Google shoes. She's like from before the revolution. We'd be listening to this and drinking and playing cards to your podcast where, it was like more of a mellow. And then I got like people who are just like, we like it because it's different. We like it because it's like not it doesn't, have that mainstream kind of feel to it. Live is different. Live, I always play, obviously happy and, energetic music. And I play like house from all internet, like all over, but with my podcast.
I think even more important than that though is just you have a story each time and you express your soul through, you're not writing the songs, but you're DJing the songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
well,
DJing,
I produce them, yeah.
But you're mixing, like you're taking other people's songs and putting them together into a set that you're playing for the night, or you're creating new songs from scratch. Which one are you doing?
No, I'm taking like I'll take a song and I'll edit it, like you know what I mean. Like I'll basically just take the vocals, like drain out the other sounds, and
So that's got to be a reflection of what you're feeling that day, that week, that month. And if you're thinking about you being at that job that you were at, where you weren't happy, there was a lot of lies and dishonesty going on, you can still be super creative from that place. It's just going to maybe be a little darker than life is beautiful and amazing
Right.
and happy and positive. But if you try to force a happy vibe when you're not feeling happy because you're
But it's not even that I'm not happy. It's just I'm okay. I'm content, you know? You
yeah,
know what I mean?
but content to, like that's a boring
Like what I
emotion.
mean by like it's not it's it's like I'm at peace, I guess is the word. You know, I'm happy like when I wake up, I'm grateful. I do the I ams like Oprah always says like I am the, you know.
But
Um
but great music is not from a place like if you're gonna feel grateful, you can just be okay and at peace, or you can really feel like when you feel gratitude, that could take you to tears, right? When you
right.
really feel it, whether you really feel the love of your brother, your parents, or that teacher that you had, or Little Mermaid, like does it you
Ariel. I'll remix
Ariel,
Ariel.
Ariel, but like you can
That'll
really
be on my next
feel,
podcast.
or you can really feel peace. You can really feel peace where that leads you to a place of feeling so happy for where you're at in life and being able to be, you know, in the US or whatever you really feel peace about. Because if it's just mellow, borderline, and not feeling anything negative, but not feeling anything positive either, just kind of even, that's not a great place to create from. You create from heightened emotions.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying if it's heightened positive, great. But if it's heightened negative, lean into it and create from maybe a dark place or a stressed out place. Like a lot of the best songs come from breakups, and the music
Right, that's
becomes
true.
healing. And it doesn't mean every track you make is negative and dark and depressing and breakup and headache.
Right.
But if you're feeling stressed out because you're at that job, like you take yourself back however long ago that was,
That's
and you're
true.
stressed out at that job, and then you're forced to go make some a mix, you could bring yourself back to a level of peace and calm. But you're not where you need to be with awesome love. So I would lean
Mhm.
into, no, this is like I'm going to take it out on this music. And there's lots of
That's
people,
what I do.
there's lots of people who can relate to that. Like there's lots of people who are stressed out and hate their job and hate their boss and feel lied to and want truth and all of that. Like pour that into the music that you're mixing together. And again, doesn't mean every album is going to be exactly the same, or every track or every
Right.
live event is going to be. You just set it up with a story. Like even when you're doing live
Yeah.
events, it could be you set up with a story.
Yeah. I'm always storytelling with my podcast. So, and then
Yeah.
the last song is the one that sums up everything in general, pretty much. It's like a
So just
summary of the entire podcast. But sometimes I get scared because people just want to be happy. You know, they don't want that, that feeling when I'm feeling. But yeah, I can see where like a lot of songs are about breakup. You just like totally opened my eyes to that some of the best songs are based off of,
and you're
difficult
not
times.
creating for like you can't just create for the same person every time. You're creating, like, it's self-expression. This is getting it out of you. And I look at the Beatles, and every album they launched was totally different.
Yeah.
And so the White Album was totally different than their first album. And people say, well, go, like, why not just make the pop hits that you were doing at the beginning? Why not make songs like
Hmm.
that again? It's like, well, we've changed, we've evolved, we've grown, we've learned,
Right.
we've gone on our spiritual journey. And then the more that you feel like you're making art for somebody else as opposed to for yourself and creating, you're going to feel put inside a box and get less and less happy with it.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
So it's got to be a constant evolution, and you'll lose some people as you go,
Oh, for sure.
and you'll gain more people
Yeah,
as you go.
there's been times where I feel like I've had nobody, especially that area where you grow up and they're not used to seeing you, you know, doing things like traveling or, releasing podcasts and things like that. A lot of uh, you can really, really pull out the good energy from the bad. The ones that want you to do well, the ones that are happy for you, genuinely happy. Like I'm getting support from people in Iran right now, and I can, or people like Sarah brings. She's here. She's one of the few that They're all over, you know, and it's just, you can pick out, but mainly the area that you grew up. I think you can really, really pinpoint who is there for you and wants you to succeed and who doesn't. And it's been hard. It's been a really bad, like, I guess, big bite to chew or swallow, whatever you say. But, you know, it's the truth.
And inside that, there's art. There's more. You make music about it. If somebody who's been a friend of yours, you feel like stabbed you in the back or didn't have your back or wasn't supporting you when you needed it, you don't have to call them out by name, but you channel that energy into the music, and it can help heal a lot of other people too who might be feeling the same way.
Right. And so you think that I should just focus on those things, and the only part about the book that kind of like made me a little apprehensive was just the whole, you know, don't invest the money that you don't have, because I feel like sometimes you have to take risks, right? And sometimes you do have to invest that whatever it is you have. And
I'm just not personally a fan because it limits your options. I think whatever the thing is you want to do, there's always a smaller way to get started. Especially with someone like you who's tenacious, who's not going to let go. There's always a way. There's always a way to get started. It's not, you see this over and over again with entrepreneurship. It's almost never an issue of resources. It's resourcefulness. And so look for ways to, what ends up happening to a lot of people is, I'm going to start this skincare company. Great. So I'm going to mortgage my home and take out this giant loan. And then you sell
extreme.
like three things. Yeah, but that's what a lot of people will end up doing, and then they never make any money off of their thing, and now they're in debt for the rest of their life. So instead, invest your time, your energy, your hustle. There's always a smaller way to get started, and then as you start,
steps, right?
But like a lot of baby steps, right? Fast baby steps. Not, I need venture capital before I can do this, and so then you don't do anything. That's how a lot of people end up thinking. Well, when I get an investor, no, go now. Just what's a smaller way to get started? You want to be a DJ? You can start with what you've got. You want to be a YouTuber? Start with what you got. You want to start a cosmetics company? You start with what you've got and take action every single day. That's the biggest thing most people miss, is just momentum, because they're waiting for money to come in and then it never gets started and they don't build the momentum they need.
Right. And like I kind of am trying to look at what Honesty did, because I feel like, you know, it was a different, you know, a different, I mean, they were selling tea, but they started here, and I remember I saw, you know, like it's kind of step-by-step growth, because I was passing it out, you know, to people to get to know what the product was and stuff. And so I saw them take baby steps, and, you know, now look at them, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I interviewed the founders on my YouTube channel maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, of Honesty.
oh, I didn't see them, I know.
Well, there's a lot of videos on the channel.
I know.
But like
but
talk about
amazing.
truth. Like they care about truth, right?
Yeah, and
Truth.
talking about truth, Nipsey Hussle. That's how I met you, or I realized, you know, that I came across. I was looking for one of his quotes to show my mom.
Okay.
And that a friend had shown me, and I came across your top 10, and I was like, let me check this out. And so I posted it on Instagram, and you reposted it, and I was like, wow, he actually takes the time and cares. And
Nipsey's a decent model too. I mean, Nipsey spoke truth,
right now.
truth,
rest in peace.
Right? But also very compassionate and driven.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Strength.
And the things he used to say, I mean, like his quotes are just phenomenal, you know? I mean, he was just, to me,
he dug deep.
Oh, big time. And that's what, like, kind of just, like, hit me in the face about him. You know, and that's what made me go get more curious to know more about you. And then I realized you have a book, and I read into it, and then I read your book. Now I'm on the third round through it. And then I read your first book too, and started it all.
I think the thing with, you know, the side that people don't see enough of Nipsey is the compassionate side.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you see, it's the same thing with you, right? It's like hardcore truth. If you listen to Nipsey,
exactly. That's what I loved.
Is going to give you the hardcore truth. but he's curious. He was curious. He dug deep. He
But
was into philosophy and like
exactly.
all sorts of crazy that most people, you know, people who came from where he came from didn't think this way or didn't spend enough time
Exactly. And that
digging
is the
deep,
beauty
right?
of it, is that he wasn't afraid to be himself, you know?
So that's the true side. The strength side, which is also you, he's ambitious. He was driven. He was like, he was popping hard. Like, don't get in his way. He's coming for it. But the compassion side was there too. That wasn't, it wasn't seen as much, right?
Yeah.
And so the same thing for you,
I
right?
think
You
it's
have the
starting
truth.
to, though, like, you know, with Nick Cannon and stuff taking over his documentary that he had started. But hopefully, but it's a good time to even talk about Nipsey because of the whole, you know, issue that's going on right now. It's, you know, it's sad because some of my biggest, the people who've moved me the most, like one is Nipsey, one is Oprah, and another one, if I can pronounce it right, the creative director of Balmain, Olivier Rousteing, I think. I can't pronounce French, so. And I actually, where did I put it? So it's really sad. So if you get a chance, definitely do this because he posted years ago, a few years back, he posted a video. He lives in France and he speaks French, and he did a collaboration with Gap and Balmain, and he did this video on the U.S. and what he envisions the U.S. as, and the things he says in regards to the U.S., like just the land of opportunity, freedom, you know, all of that. And I dug deep or find the sweater that he designed for them.
Wow.
Right? Which like has his like logo and stuff on it. And it's
Signature.
not an easy sweater to find, but I just wanted it because I had to have it. Like if you watch that video, it's unbelievable and incredible. And I just want to apologize to him. Like I just want to go to him and just be like, I'm so sorry, because it's so sad what, you know, people.
Okay, but you can.
Yeah.
This is your next soundtrack. Yeah, your
And
next
actually
mix.
my first song to my podcast is one about losing, you know, we've lost so many people, and it's a remix I did myself. Codaline's, if I can pronounce it, Codaline's song, All I Want. And so I remixed that song, and it reminds me of my brother, but I was thinking about all the people we lost during COVID, and right now, like, you know, the whole thing going on with, you know, unfortunately,
This is
racism
like,
and
this energy is good practice for you to create from, because it's not to just, and yes, you're still positive and hopeful and optimistic that we're kind of going to come out and build a better world and all this stuff, but this energy of I wish I could say sorry to him, this energy of the people that we lost, this energy of what's going on right now is weighing on you. Lean into it, create from there. Tell me in the art, but also tell me the story afterwards of why you made this and what it means. And it's just making you more human, more rounded, as opposed to just the peace, positive, optimistic, we're going to make it.
George Floyd.
Yeah.
That's sad. But
all right.
yeah, so thank you so much. That was, honestly, I never saw that one coming. It's crazy.
You never know where it's going to go.
Yeah,
but I love it. I would really sit on that. Care, and then truth, compassion, strength underneath it, I think is a good model for you.
I joined the monthly thing, so hopefully I'll be listening in on your lectures on Thursday. I think it's every other Thursday, right?
Yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow's the next time. Movement
Okay,
Makers.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yes, I am on it. Yes, I
all right.
subscribe.
We'll see you there.
All right, thank you
for
so
the love.
much.
Okay.
All right,
Take
bye
care.
everybody. All right.